is caught up in an incident such as this. The last time there was one was, of course, during COVID, and before that, substantial time had elapsed before 2010. What are your first thoughts when you see some of these pictures, Mr. Patel, and a comment generally on Indian aviation, safety protocols in Indian aviation?
I'm very shocked and distressed and very sad that such an incident has taken place. And you're right, after many years, it's not very often that we see such tragic incidents in Indian aviation. And let me tell you that on the whole, when you talk of safety and systems, I can assure you that Indian aviation is probably one of the safest in the world. We have all the protocols in place. Our DGCA is very robust and effective. And to find, to pick holes into our ability to manage Indian aviation would be very unfair. And I always say this, and I repeat, that aviation is either 100% or zero. There's nothing like 99.9% in aviation. And therefore, in this case also, look at the aircraft. It arrived from Ahmedabad from Delhi. Obviously, it flew without any issue. And to take a 9.5-hour journey from Ahmedabad to London, obviously the pilots would have done all the pre-flight checks. And no pilot is foolish enough to take off if he is not satisfied. The captain per se in this aircraft would have also had thousands and thousands of hours of command. And a 787 and today's aircraft per se are very robust, fail-safe. They have many backup systems. And to really think what went wrong, I would be hazarding a guess, which would not be fair. But the point here is the aircraft did go on a takeoff roll. And between the time the wheels went up and the time it crashed, probably the time frame would have been almost only about 60 seconds or so, because you can't go to 800 feet and crash and it be within the time span is only 60 seconds. Now, he's already given a mayday call. Now, I don't know what exactly went wrong. It will be, again, hazarding a guess, which would be unfair. The only thing which can be ascertained is now, since the aircraft has fallen just a few 100 meters from the airport and in the BJ Medical Complex, therefore, to retrieve the black box and the other equipment would be also, quite simple. We would be able to ascertain only after that. Let me tell you one more thing. In today's aircraft, they are very sophisticated. All the, parameters of an aircraft, right, every single second the aircraft is in the air, all the parameters are recorded, not only by the aircraft, but they're also transmitted to a central command, real time, of the airline itself. So if there is, when an aircraft does a flight, there is a way to ascertain every single parameter during whatever the duration of the flight. So if anything would have gone wrong prior to this flight, or which may have escaped the attention of anybody, I'm sure this will be retrieved in no time once the equipment is found.
Now, Mr. Patel, just to go back in time, because this fleet, the Dreamliner, very, very safe. I think from what the experts are saying, and I only have them to sort of lean on for facts, they've said that this is the first time a Dreamliner has actually crashed anywhere in the world. Now, most of these Dreamliners were purchased, I suppose, about 10, 12, 15 years back by Air India when it was still government-owned. Obviously, there would have been a huge procedure that must have unfurled within government to select the plane. There would have been due diligence. There would have been all sorts of studies that would have been conducted.
Well, most certainly. I mean, first, the procedure itself in government is a very robust procedure. It goes through several layers. And ultimately, the basic selection of aircraft is done only on technical parameters. Because, the airline, requires a certain type of aircraft for certain, lengths of the flights. You want to go to the US, you want to go to the European countries, or to, 8-hour flights, 12-hour flights, and so on. And the kind of configuration you want. Let me also tell you that the Dreamliner, at the time it was ordered, was one of the most sophisticated, advanced fly-by-wire aircraft which was going to be produced. And it was ordered by probably most major airlines in the world, Air India also being one of the early ones. And to now even discuss it would be unfair, because after this particular aircraft itself, which has crashed, had been flying for almost 11 years. And if you see any major airline in the world, and if you go at any moment of time, there would be more than 1,000 787s up and flying any part of the world. So I'm sure when, of course, the orders are placed, every other parameter is also examined. And of course, it is the airline's requirement which primarily drives what is the choice of aircraft. Let me also remind you that in the world for wide body, you only have two aircraft manufacturers. You have a Boeing and an Airbus, and the comparable aircraft are a 350 for the Airbus or a 787 Dreamliner for Boeing. So it's not really that we are ending up, with too many choices. And let me be honest, whether it's a Boeing 787 or an A350 of Airbus, technically, technologically, they would all be on par in terms of efficiency. So it's a minor thing between one and the other. But the fact of the matter is, all the machines flying today, irrespective of this type of aircraft, are very, very robust and sound. And every aircraft has backup after backup. I don't think, I mean, of course, the pilot's efficiency, his knowledge, his presence of mind is the most important factor in any aircraft flying. But even technically, an aircraft, is so designed that it can overtake a lot of functions which a human, mind and hand cannot, perform in the shortest possible time. So the response time of an aircraft, its systems are very, very robust.
Here, of course, there seems to have been a catastrophic failure of lift, and that didn't give the pilot, even though very experienced pilot with lots of man hours of flying, didn't give much of time to the pilot to even react. And only a mayday call, and as you said yourself, 60 seconds, and it was down laden with fuel. Obviously, there will be questions asked. I'm at this moment as in the dark as anyone else, Mr. Patel, about what could have been the reasons. But there has been a lot of internal strife within Tata after it took over this particular airline. Singapore Airlines came into it, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of cost cutting, lots of valuable AI senior engineers were sort of let go of. Could this have at some level affected operations, maintenance, checks, all of that? Do you think, or it's too premature to get into any of this?
I think it is premature. See, the other point is, Rahul, that the fact of the matter is that there's a human being, a senior experienced captain who's flying the machine.
Yeah.
And he has every right to say, I cannot fly this machine because it is unfit to fly or there's a technical deficiency. And if there was one, he wouldn't have done it himself.
Yes.
So I think it's hazarding a little bit of a wild guess. Yes, but I would also like to say that, the maintenance of Air India compares to the best anywhere in the world. Now, yes, you are also plagued with certain older aircraft. You are plagued with certain other problems, like you just said, because it's been, integration of the old with the new. But that does not come into the way of the safety of the aircraft per se. And I would therefore say, and I can also say with a lot of sense of confidence, that Indian aviation checks and balances of the DGCA and other, the airline also has its own manual. The airline also has its own SOPs. The airlines don't cut corners, especially an airline like Air India, to, save cost or something just for the heck of making some more money. I would say that Air India as an airline has its own SOPs put very, very strongly in place. And again, this commander, or many of the commanders, or most of the commanders, I would say, flying a 787 have so many thousands and thousands of hours of pilot in command that they know the aircraft inside out. They know everything what needs to be done. And I don't think an aircraft flying to London on a 9.5 hour flight would have taken off without the proper pre-flight checks by the captain or his second in command.
What would you now say in the aftermath to passengers? Remember, the aviation sector was really, really coming back after COVID, the disruption of COVID, one of the hardest hit sectors, as we know. But it's really bounced back. We have record number of flights, record number of airports opening across the country. I am sure for a few days there's going to be some consternation, maybe even a little bit of apprehension in the minds of a large number of passengers, civilians, customers, etc. What's your message to them?
Well, my message is that, very sad and tragic. I'm sure people do get shaken up when they see such, visuals on their screen. But aviation still, by far, is the safest mode of transportation anywhere in the world. And if you consider the accident to the number of flights ratio, I think it will be far, 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 safer than any other public transport. So let's not panic. Let's not think that this could be, an everyday affair. And we should be patient, confident, and also be confident that our aviation in India is absolutely in good shape. Let's not, see one incident. This accident unfortunately happened in India. Probably it could have happened anywhere in the world. When we see a visual in any other part of the world, we don't get so upset. Because it's happened in our country, we will certainly be, stirred and shaken. Let's just have faith. Our aviation sector is good, sound, safe, and this is, of course, a lesson. We should, strengthen our systems even further, and we should learn from some things. If at all, the inquiry, once it's complete, will, throw up some definitely revelation as to what has happened. So we should be, concerned, but we shouldn't be scared, and we shouldn't, stop flying or reduce our flying, or every time you fly, you start praying to God. Of course, we pray otherwise, but we don't have to worry about safety and pray. That's all I'm trying to convey.
Right, Mr. Patel. On that note, thank you very much for speaking to us as we pray, of course, for those who were in harm's way. You're seeing that building. Thank you, Mr. Patel, very much for speaking to me.
My thoughts and prayers
yes.
are with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see that visual on the left of your screens, viewers? That's the tail of the plane that has crashed through a hostel attached to a medical college just outside the perimeter wall of this particular airport in Ahmedabad, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. And we're apprehending that there might be casualties because this accident took place at around 1:45, and it was lunch hour, and there were many students, many doctors, aspiring doctors in the canteen, and the plane crashed into the canteen, and those visuals tell the story. Viewers, very quickly, let me give you a quick update. Operations have resumed at the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad. This is PIB India putting out that update. The airlines and the Aviation Ministry have put out a medical emergency helpline and a control room helpline. It's 0793508211. That number will flash as it is right now under our screen. You can see it. Can call in if you have apprehensions that some of your relatives or others that you know might actually be in harm's way. I want very quickly to give you a quick overview, viewers, as we continue our coverage. The RPF disaster management team, headed by ASC and ADI, plus 6 staff, along with hospital team, 6 doctors, 20 staff and 7 ambulance, rendering all possible help in rescue operation. The tragic Air India flight crash at Ahmedabad. We don't still know if there have been any survivors. We are gleaning through data that is coming in through the hospitals to figure that one out. But quite clearly. That's the timeline to the right of your screens. At 1:39, it takes off. Within 60 seconds, it has a catastrophic loss of lift. The plane goes down, goes crashing into a building which was attached to a hospital, education institution, goes straight into that building. The building itself is covered by ATF. The plane was loaded with ATF because, as you know, it was taking off to travel to Gatwick Airport in London, or the extremities of London. The MEA has reacted and said that details will be shared with governments of foreign countries, because there were a number of citizens from other nations on board this international flight. Air India chairman N. Chandrasekaran is likely to reach Ahmedabad tonight. That's what we're being told. Large number of residents, we're being told, are also feared dead after the aircraft crashed into the Atulyam super speciality doctor's residence. At the time of the incident, around 200 people were residing in the building, the 94 flats there, and you can see the absolutely charred super frame of that building after the plane dived into it, completely losing control. There was a mayday call that was issued by the pilots before the ATC could even sort of respond. The plane went down in that ball of fire. We're also being told that the Ahmedabad airport that had been shut down has now been reopened, and flight safety protocols are being followed with utmost care. There are also directions that have gone out to prevent people, when they take off, take photographs. So you won't be allowed to do all of that, because clearly the flight path. Let me go across to Payal for more updates. We're told that Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah will be landing there forthwith. Payal, what are the updates?
As far as the Ahmedabad airport is concerned, Rahul, is one of the busiest airports in Gujarat, because not only does it have so many domestic flights coming, it's a busy destination as far as businesses are concerned, but it also has a lot of international connectivity as well. But that airport has been opened up, in a calibrated manner, so passengers have been requested that they should check the timings of the flight, etc., and only then move to the airport. As far as the Union Home Minister is concerned, he is expected to reach there in some time, and the Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu is also expected to reach anywhere between 5:30 and 6 p.m. And just a short while ago, Muralidhar Mohal, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, along with all the DGC officials, along with the Civil Aviation Secretary Mrs. Samir Sinha, they are all on board, so they should also be landing in Ahmedabad in a couple of hours as well. And this flight of happiness and hope, has turned into a flight of tragedy for so many people, who were looking to go back to their homes, especially the foreign nationals, and to many as well. So, our hearts really go out to these people. But, like I said, the government of the day has said that they'll get to the bottom of this, and nobody who is involved with any negligence whatsoever will be spared, is what we're given to understand. But yes, flights are going to be resuming in a calibrated manner, and therefore all kind of numbers, whether it's medical emergency numbers or numbers concerning finding the loved ones even at hospitals, etc., have been put out by the civil administration. Bhupendra Patel, the Chief Minister, was at the civil hospital just a short while ago. So all hands on the deck approach, Rahul.
Absolutely. There are also more updates that are coming in, viewers, as we scroll through the news updates that are coming up on my screen here. We're also being told that the Air India has called upon the authorities to investigate and ensure that all examinations, forensic examinations of the crash site, etc., are conducted utmost. We're also being told that Air India management officials have held meetings with DGCA staff. Air India has been asked to submit the health report of all their aircrafts. There are also some pictures that make the heart really weak, coming in from inside the mess of the hostel where the plane crashed. Devastating scenes there. One just hopes that the casualty figures are not as high as what appears from the scene of devastation. We're being told that former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Rupani, was on board. We don't still know whether he has survived this or he's injured. We have no updates really on his well-being, but he was a former Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2016 to 2021, the state president of Gujarat. When his name was declared as the Chief Minister, he took over from Anandiben Patel. Miss Anandiben Patel, former MP from the Rajya Sabha and a two-time MLA, hailed from Rajkot West, came from an influential Jain community. He didn't fight the 2022 Assembly poll, citing his wish to step back from electoral politics. He was currently in charge of Punjab for the BJP and was on his way to England and was aboard that flight. There are pictures also coming in of the ill-fated crew of this flight. And we are told that there were at least 10 crew members on board this flight from different parts of the country. Many leaders, many countries are extending commiserations, shock at the events. Remember, this is the first time in recorded history that the Dreamliner has gone down. Very reliable aircraft. Many people are convinced that this aircraft could not have suffered the failures that are being attributed to it. But viewers, as we know, one can't give in to speculation. This is an extremely sensitive situation right now, and therefore one cannot hazard any information on what could have gone wrong in a speculative way. We're being told now, no survivors of this crash, but we are going to not take that at face value till the authorities come out and give us some sort of a confirmation. But Payal, it does seem that the outlook is not good. Okay, we don't have Payal. We're going to go back to Payal in just a few moments. But hotline numbers have been set up for people to check in and find out on the state of affairs and, of course, on their own relatives. We are being told that there were 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian on board this Air India flight. 169 Indian nationals were on board. It was a flight that was almost full, Ahmedabad, London flight. And at this time of the year, viewers, there is huge traffic between the two destinations, given the fact that this is a peak holiday season. I want to go straight across to Anvit. Anvit, a lot of people heading out to London on this particular flight. We're getting some details. We're being told unofficially that the possibility of survivors is very slim. What's the update that you're getting?
Yeah, certainly, you see, Rahul, that toll was what we are being unofficially confirmed by the sources on ground. It is being said that it has already been counted up to 150, and it certainly is unfortunately expected to only rise from here, because the kind of incident it was, and we initially also saw how the plane went up in flames. It clearly was indicative of the fact that the number of casualties and fatalities would certainly be high. Not just those in the plane, but also on ground. The collateral damage that it has caused, because it was a heavily residential area, and the building in which the plane had crashed, which was the doctor's hostel, that also, from there also, a number of occupants had to be rushed to medical facilities, and deaths have been reported from there as well. So ground damage certainly is there, but all what we are being told by the officials who are in this rescue operation, that number of survivors is really bleak, as what we are getting from the ground. Also, because the incident that this is, and what we are being told by the experts, is that the two major chances that this incident took place, one is dual engine failure, which could be, one reason could be power outage, or another reason could also be bird ingestion. But it is also being said that it's very unlikely that bird ingestion would cause both engines to go down. Another reason what we're learning is could be control jamming, which is also a subject matter of investigation, and the AIB will now take over the investigation, as their teams are already on ground, and the investigation in this manner will also be done. But what we are learning from the ground is, yes, that the fatalities have increased to more than 150, and chances of any survivors are really bleak, which is unfortunate.
Well, that is very sad news, if true. We're going to hold back on giving you those numbers because we don't have confirmation from official sources, and CNN News 18 will not report casualty figures, even speculate on casualty figures, given the fact that this would be extremely traumatic. That's the moment of crash, viewers. You can see that the plane lost its ability to lift off. Even its, as you can see, landing gear had not been retracted. So moment the plane takes off, it presumably experienced a catastrophic loss of lift, as some of our experts have told us. The pilot had very little time to react, about a minute, in which a mayday call was issued to the ATC. The ATC responded to the mayday call, got no response, looked out and saw a ball of flames engulfing the skyline. And a minute after crash it was, because as you know, our planes do travel at a particular speed, therefore it becomes easy to assess the length that they would have traversed and therefore back calculate the time that they would have spent on air, in air that is. And you can see that ball of flames going up, lighting up the sky and completely overshadowing the afterground. And that is because this plane was laden with ATF. It had just been refueled. It's taking off. It had come in from Delhi, we are told, landed in Ahmedabad, was obviously surveilled for and examined for any technical issues, maintenance, etc. The plane then crashes into a building. The building is part of a medical establishment, and the exact building it crashes into is a canteen. And lunch hour was on, it was in the middle of lunch hour, and parts of the fuselage and debris from the plane lying littering this particular building. And you can see that the tail section of this building is sticking out. Tail section of the plane is sticking out of the building, and inside we're told there were several doctors who were undergoing training, and those people have been injured. Some of them might not have made it out. There are, of course, more visuals of the debris on fire in the immediate aftermath. You can see the ground scorched, trees, just about anything within the perimeter of the crash site reduced to ash, carbon. You can see those pictures. Part of the building also engulfed in ATF, singed and covered in soot. Complete devastation. All these pictures coming in, obviously an attempt being made to douse the fire, but it's a bit too late. All of these are the buildings next to the wreckage near the plane crash site. A large number of parts of the plane strewn all over the place, and that's the frontage of this building, which has been reduced to ash. It's covered in soot because, as I told you, the plane was laden with ATF, and you can see other remnants of this plane, electronic parts, etc., strewn all over the place. There is some piece of luggage that might have survived, but most of this particular craft consumed completely, and that's the debris that is being removed, is salvaged. Obviously, there would be a desperate search for the black box, because that needs to be taken and examined to determine what could have gone wrong. Right now, no use speculating on it beyond the fact that the plane suffered a catastrophic loss of lift. Now, what that was due to, we don't know. Was it engine failure? Was it a bird hit? We have no clue. And these are survivors who are being rushed to hospitals. We don't quite know if these are passengers or if these were people on the ground or they were the young doctors. Let's go back to Anvit. Anvit, these people who are being wheeled into the hospital, do we have any clarity on who they are? What's the nature of their injuries, etc.? Okay, we don't quite have him, but there is a lot of grief, a lot of shock on the ground. And you can see that being reflected on the faces of some of those people who were witnesses. It must have been very, very traumatic, not just for those who came and bid their loved ones farewell, but also those in England who were expecting their loved ones to land in the next 11 hours or so. These scenes, viewers, are extremely unfortunate. This particular brand of aircraft, the Dreamliner, has not in its history suffered a crash. And we can tell you that Boeing shares are crashing right now across the globe because, once again, there are questions being asked of the company. Boeing has had its issues. It was caught up in a lot of issues related to its operations, etc. There have been many strikes within Boeing, talking about corners being cut, etc., etc. I don't want to go there because that's a whole different can of worms, might even be unrelated totally to the aircraft they produce, because the aircraft has performed extremely well, known for being very, very dependable and extremely efficient, and therefore a large number of these prototypes were sold. More than 1,000 have been sold since the Dreamliner, this particular Dreamliner, was brought into service and incepted and inceptualized. So there you have it, viewers. These are the pictures coming from all the parts of the city. Ahmedabad right now is caught in the grip of this crisis, and heart goes out to those who were expecting or are expecting the kith and the kin of these passengers. We're expecting for them to have a safe flight. Let me go across to Anvit. Anvit, what is the latest coming in on perhaps the preliminary estimations as to what might have gone wrong? Any more details about the circumstances under which this flight took off? Anvit, can you hear me? Okay, Anvit, can you hear me? Are you there with us? Flight A1, AI 171 Ahmedabad to London, reportedly carrying 242 passengers. Troops of 100 RAF and GCCRPF Gandhinagar involved in rescue operations. More details, of course, waited on casualty figures, but we're told that the prognosis is not too bright, that many people would have perished in this. The details, of course, to the left of your screens. Anvit, if you're there, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
What are the details we have? We know for sure that the Dreamliner, this particular make of the Dreamliner, has never had a crash. And it's the first crash anywhere in the world of a Dreamliner, of 787 Dreamliner. It had a call sign VTA and B, was the 26th to have been purchased by Air India. These are numbers, of course. Data don't tell the entire story. What are you learning from your sources?
Certainly, see, like you rightly pointed out, that Dreamliner and Boeing 787s do not have a history of such incidents, and since their introduction in probably 2011, this is the first Boeing 787 Dreamliner that is reportedly crashed or met with a mishap that we are reporting on. And if we talk about the situation on ground, visuals are really scary. Death toll has already crossed what unofficial figures are, around 150, and the sources that are on ground are reporting that it is likely to grow because the kind of incident it was, and how we have the visuals we've been playing out for our audiences, that how the plane as it crashed, it went up in flames, and the chances of survival of any passenger that was on board are bleak, is what the officials are saying. However, it has not been officially confirmed that all on board are dead. It's not confirmed yet. Some have been rushed to medical facilities. It is awaited to know that if they will be recuperated from the condition they were recovered in or not. Also, other than those who were on board, 242, including crew and captain, other than that, the building in which the plane crashed, it also had a number of occupants, and more than 50 of them had to be rushed to medical facilities. There could be, certainly there is chances of survivors because the plane crashed over that building, and there could be survivors in that, but yes, certain deaths are also being reported from there. Amidst all this, Ahmedabad airport has also put out a tweet saying that the airport is now operational. It had been initially shut following the incident. The airport had been shut for operations, and now it has been opened for operations also. If we talk about the details of the incident that took place, the initial details that we had got, revisiting those details, the flight had taken off at 1:39 from Ahmedabad. It was bound for Gatwick, near London, and the accident took place immediately, just 8 to 10 minutes after the takeoff.
We are told actually it took place within 60 seconds, actually, a minute and a half. It wasn't 8 to 10 minutes. It was just within a minute. So I just want to quickly come in there. Anvit, just stay on with me, Kaj. I have some reactions to play out. MLA Darshana Vaghela said that, quote, I was in my office nearby when the plane crashed and there was a loud thud. The flats of the doctors have been damaged. The rescue operation will continue, unquote. This is ANI quoting her. ANI also put out the reaction of an individual. He said, and I quote, my son had gone to the hostel during lunch break and the plane crashed there. My son is safe and I have spoken to him. He jumped from the second floor, so he suffered some injuries, says Ramila, who reached the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. So clearly a parent, very worried parent. Now, Anvit, what about those people who found themselves on the ground but in the direct line of the crashed plane?
See, the incident was completely unforeseen, and when this happened, it certainly raised panic among those who were on ground. Some people had caught this incident on their phones, and they have recorded how the plane went down and the flight path as it was declining on its flight path. That has been recorded. Some videos we have played also on scene. But yes, there certainly was panic when visuals were coming on from ground. We also saw how locals had gathered, the hundreds of people had gathered at the crash site, which also was another challenge for the first responders, be it the police, the firefighters, disaster management authorities, or the paramedics and ambulances. That also was a challenge, and many people had gathered.
Okay.
But that is also one reason that
Anvit, just hold your thoughts. That is the Gujarat Chief Minister, who has just emerged from the hospital after visiting those that were taken there. And we showed you pictures of people being wheeled into hospital about an hour and a half back. One just hopes that the prognosis from the hospital is not as full of foreboding as what we're being told by our sources. And on the right, you can see that's the mess that has been reduced to ashes there. Parts of the plane, this is the tail of the plane crashing into the roof section of this cafe, bringing the roof down. An eyewitness has been quoted as having saying that after my office 200 meters from here, as soon as I stepped out of the office, I heard a very loud noise and smoke filled the area. Suddenly a commotion broke out here, and then we saw that this incident had occurred. When I reached the spot, I saw debris scattered here. There was a fire and smoke was billowing here. Nothing was visible. We then came to know that the wings of the aircraft fell here and that an aircraft crashed. We don't know about the casualties, but there is a building here where doctors reside. And that's the building that we were talking about, viewers, out of which is sticking out the tail of the plane in a rather ominous way. Now let's play out some eyewitness depositions.
यहीं मेरे ऑफिस में बैठी थी, जैसा धड़ाका हुआ मैं वहाँ ऑफिस से वहाँ गई। बहुत बड़ा प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था, तो बहुत धुआं और आग लगी थी। जो डॉक्टर्स के फ्लैट थे उनको बहुत डैमेज हुए हैं, और उसमें से कितने डॉक्टरों को हमने निकाला है, लोकल कार्यकर्ता और सब मिलके। बाद में जो प्लेन में से निकाले हैं वो लोग भी बहुत
बड़ी दुखद दुर्घटना,
बहुत
कितने लोगों की मौत, कुछ
अभी कोई अंदाजा नहीं लग रहा है। रहने वालों को भी बहुत नुकसान हुआ है।
हमारी बहन जा रही थी लंदन,
1 बजे जा रही थी
एक 1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
मेरी साड़ी था वो खम्बीसर थी और लंदन जा रही थी।
हाँ, फिर
बस वो 1 घंटे में समाचार आ गया को प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है, इसलिए मैं वापस अहमदाबाद से बाहर निकल गया था, तो वापस आए सील में आ गया। अभी कुछ भी समाचार नहीं मिला है अभी तक।
यहाँ पे जो ऑफिस से बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज़, जोर से आवाज़ आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया। लोग यहाँ से भगदड़ मची। उसके बाद आके देख रहे थे ये हादसा की स्थिति है।
अच्छा, तो आप यहाँ पर पहले आए तो आपने क्या देखा?
आने के बाद देखा कि पूरा मलबा बिखरा हुआ, आग लगी है, पूरा धुआं गुब्बारा है, कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा, समझ में नहीं आ पा रहा था क्या है। हाँ, उसके बाद पता चला कि ये विंग्स गिरा हुआ है, फ्लाइट वो किया, फिर प्रशासन ने चारों तरफ से घेर लिया।
जब से आए कितने बजे हुआ तकरीबन ये हादसा, कुछ समय बता?
लगभग 45 मिनट पहले हादसा हुआ।
Because everyone expressing shock and pretty much confirming the sequence of events there. The plane takes off within a minute. It's down. It crashes into a building that houses a number of doctors because it is part of a medical establishment. In fact, the building was the cafeteria. You can see the pictures on the left of the plane. Tail of the plane that is sticking out of the top of that building, the roof section of the building. Below, those are the pictures from within the building. A lot of material there reduced to dust, burnt to smithereens. Amit is with us. We're also being told that Jamie Ray Meek, a British citizen listed as a passenger on Air India flight 171, reportedly shot a final Instagram short story just before takeoff, and that remains his final testament to the world. Very, very, very sad situation. Passengers from across the world on this flight. Remember, there were Canadians, there were British nationals, more than 50 British nationals, 169 Indian nationals, a number of Canadian nationals. The US government also putting out a statement, not just in sympathy, but also calling upon its citizens to check with the consulate there to ensure that they can make their way back home. Let me go across to Amit. Amit, what's the latest you have for us?
Rahul, what we're getting from ground is that the death toll has already crossed 140 and 150, and this is what the sources on ground are telling us. And among the passengers, the 242 passengers that were on board, Air India has also confirmed that there were 169 of them were Indian nationals, while 53 were British nationals. There also was one Canadian national on board, and 7 Portuguese nationals were there. The injured have certainly been taken to hospitals, but death toll is likely to rise. And from those who were on board the aircraft, it is almost confirmed. There's no official word though, but chances of survivors are really bleak in this incident. As we have also seen the visuals from ground, number of locals had gathered on spot, and it is also one reason, because the area was heavily populated one. That is also one reason that there will certainly be fatalities from ground as well. The building that was hit by the plane, that is a doctor's hostel. Many of the occupants of the building have also been rushed to medical facilities, and there certain deaths have also been reported. The exact numbers are not still out, but it is expected that agencies certainly will be putting out the numbers soon. The police is expected to give out the numbers soon. But so far, even now, hours after the incident, focus is on rescue, because many people who are under the debris, who are in the building, they are being taken out. They are all being rushed to medical facilities, and soon we'll get the numbers also as to how many have been injured and what are the exact number of fatalities. But what we are learning is that out of 242 people, which includes 2 pilots and 10 cabin crew, number of survivors who were on that plane is really bleak to me.
Well, hoping against hope, praying that we get some good news. Viewers, what a terrible tragedy to grip the nation. Shocked, many people shocked. Reactions coming from across the world, from pretty much every global leader commiserating with the Indian authorities, with the Indian government and the people of our country. Let me go across to Payal. Payal, what can you tell us about the news that you're receiving on the investigative front? We know that Civil Aviation Minister and the DGCA Chief and Civil Aviation Secretary are being rushed to Ahmedabad. They're going to probably meet there. There's going to be a forensic inquiry and a probe into all of this. But what are you hearing from government sources?
Well, as far as the government is concerned, Rahul, one thing is for sure, that it will be a thorough investigation which will be done, because this also involves the unfortunate demise of foreign citizens, and therefore the government of India is extremely sure that there will be no lackluster, attitude at all as far as this is concerned. And therefore, all the investigating agencies concerning this have been lost to the spot. We'll have to just wait and see how this forensic investigation is under, and other investigation will really follow. And therefore, Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu is expected to arrive in Ahmedabad anytime now. Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, who is also the son of the soil, is also reaching Ahmedabad very shortly. And, all the NDRF and the other teams are already there in Ahmedabad and helping with the rescue and relief operation. And another flight has taken off from Delhi to Ahmedabad. It consists of officials from the DGCA, consists of the Civil Aviation Secretary also, and Minister Narendra, who is the Minister of State for Civil Aviation. The government of India has assured not just the people over here, but also to all the foreign nationals and their countries that a thorough investigation really will be done. It's very difficult at this point in time to point a finger at anybody in particular, given the fact that this is a modernized equipment, it's a modernized flight that had actually taken off from Ahmedabad. And therefore, all efforts will be made to make sure that we get to the bottom of it as well.
Right.
And there is something that the government of India has assured.
Well, of course, premature viewers to even speculate about the reasons. It's too early in the day to do that. But clearly, there was something very, very wrong that led to this unprecedented tragedy. No Dreamliner has crashed, especially of the 787 Boeing variety, anywhere in the world. India is the first place where this has happened. So obviously, viewers, there's going to be a lot of dismay, and there will also be a huge focus. Muralidhar Mohol, who is the Minister of State for Civil Aviation and Cooperation at the centre, has also spoken on this issue. Hardeep Singh Puri has also spoken on this issue. Let's go straight across to some reactions that we're playing out now.
कुछ समय पहले दोपहर को एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना घटी है। एयर इंडिया का AI-171 जो अहमदाबाद से लंदन जाने वाला जो फ्लाइट था वो क्रैश हो गया है। उसमें कुल 242 लोग थे, 230 पैसेंजर थे और 12 क्रू मेंबर्स थे। तो वहाँ पे अभी सब राहत का कार्य शुरू है, बचाव का कार्य वहाँ पे शुरू है। हमारे मिनिस्ट्री में भी अभी हमने एक वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों की एक बैठक भी करी है। जांच तो शुरू है, वरिष्ठ लेवल पे हमारी मीटिंग भी अभी यहाँ पे हुई है और वहाँ पे अभी इमरजेंसी में जो बचाव राहत का कार्य चल रहा है उस पर चर्चा हुई है। अभी किसी बात पर बोलना यानी कि कितनी कैजुअल्टी हुई, क्या हुआ, तो उस पर थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
There's a plane crash. Ahmedabad to London flight ਸੀਗੀ ਸਵੇਰੇ 8 ਵਜੇ ਦਾ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਐਂਡ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ there's an accident but ਹੁਣ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਖਬਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਰਥਨਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨੇ all those who were on board should be all right and we should await the news. I don't think one should speculate on that.
बहुत दुख की बात है,
कैजुअल्टी कंफर्म नहीं बट
बहुत दुख की बात है कि एयर इंडिया का एयरक्राफ्ट क्रैश हुआ है और जब एयरक्राफ्ट क्रैश होता है तो घटना बहुत बड़ी होती है। इसलिए इस समय पर इतनी ही जानकारी मिली है तो हमारी अपील यही होगी सरकार से, हालांकि सरकार खुद कोशिश कर रही होगी कि सभी यात्रियों को बचाएं, सुरक्षित पहुंचाएं और उनका इलाज हो। और हमारी भगवान से ये प्रार्थना है कि अगर इतना बड़ा एक्सीडेंट हुआ है तो किसी की जान न गई हो और हमारे पायलट भी सुरक्षित रहे हो।
Viewer statement coming out from Boeing. Boeing is saying that we're aware of initial reports and are working to gather more information. Remember, real-time information is relayed always from the plane to the manufacturer and it is kept and located at a particular center. So real-time information will be available to them. Of course, they would also be wanting to look at the crash footage. They will also be looking at the black... Amit is there with us. Yes, so the black box is very, very important. Do we have any idea about whether the black box has been recovered as yet, Anvit? What are you learning?
See, right now the operations on ground are focusing on rescue and evacuation, and all the passengers who were on the plane as well as the casualties that have happened on ground, they need to be evacuated and taken to medical facilities. Even the bodies, the charred bodies that we've seen visuals, they need to be moved to mortuaries and PM will be conducted, and those formalities need to be done, and only after that, see, AIB teams are already on ground, and there will be DGCA officials are also already there, and they are looking into parallel investigations or have also begun into the cause of the probable cause of this crash. It might take some time to retract the black box and get information from it and the technical data that will be retrieved. Based on that, it will be ascertained as to what may have gone wrong, because there are multiple speculations as of now. Also, the last moment communication between the pilot and the ATC before the mayday call was given, if there was any communication or if there was any communication from the pilot highlighting that there is some issue with the aircraft, that also will be crucial in this investigation. So far, when we have spoken to the experts, they have highlighted two possibilities. One is the way the plane went down and declined on its flight path. One probable cause could be dual engine failure, which is certainly a rare thing to happen, rarest of the rare in fact, and this however, it is being suspected that there is a birds problem in Ahmedabad. It is also in the Bangalore airport, we have reported in the past, but the menace of birds need to be really huge to bring both engines down. So that is also what makes it a rare happening, and that is one reason why the experts are saying that fuel starvation could be one reason, or fuel contamination could be one reason that why both the engines stopped working mid-air. That is one reason. Another, what they're talking about is there could be a power outage or control jamming. which is also a possibility that would bring the plane down. So these are the reasons that
Right.
the AIB will also be looking at, and also the DGCA.
Well, can you confirm? Can you confirm? Because there are reports, of course, coming out that those are the Minister of Home Affairs. He's taking a flight right now to Ahmedabad. Of course, this area does fall under his constituency, or very near to his constituency, viewers, and he's on his way there. And we know that the Union Home Minister has already expressed his shock at this incident. We also know a senior BJP leader has been caught up in this crash. We're updating inputs on his exact status as of now. The former Gujarat Chief Minister, Mr. Rupani, was on board that flight. What we are being told right now is that there is a lot of speculation that is going on in different circles about the reasons behind this crash. And many people are looking very closely at the footage. And as we have been pointing out through the afternoon, that when the plane took off, it didn't even have time to retract the landing gear. And suddenly suffers a catastrophic loss of lift, which people don't quite know how it could have been possible. How did it actually happen? Because fundamentally, the Dreamliner has known to be extremely, extremely robust. There have been questions that have been appearing of recent, however, on different aspects of it. Federal Aviation Administration of America had said last year that it was investigating claims made by a Boeing engineer. And there have been, of course, this is well documented. It's been on various Netflix series, etc., who said that sections of the fuselage of the 787 Dreamliner were improperly fastened together and could break apart mid-flight after thousands of trips. Well, no such incident has been reported of recent. And if clearly that was not exactly what happened here, you can see that it's the engines that, or perhaps some other issue with the hydraulics that caused this loss of lift, because certainly no part of the fuselage here has come undone. Otherwise, we would have seen this particular plane unraveling mid-air. Let me go across to Payal. Payal, on the right, pictures of the Union Home Minister leaving for Ahmedabad.
Yes, it seems that the Home Minister will arrive in Ahmedabad in a short while from now. And of course, the Civil Aviation Minister also. What we are also learning, Rahul, that the BJP State President for Gujarat and Union Jal Shakti Minister C.R. Patil is also on his way to Gujarat. He has even also been asked to rush to Gujarat. He's also not just the state president, but he's also the Union Minister. He's the son of the soil as well. He's also been asked to go there and aid in whatever rescue relief operations are required. With the unfortunate news coming forth that, there could hardly be any survivors as far as this crash is really concerned. And obviously, that is something which everybody is waiting to see what has been the cause of this. Because I've been speaking to at least quite a few experts and quite a few union ministers, including former civil aviation ministers, Rahul. And they're very surprised because this is, of course, a modern state-of-the-art aircraft. What really led to this? So nothing is being ruled out as of now. And our colleague Manoj Gupta had just spoken to us a little earlier. And he basically also said that the sabotage angle is also being, looked into over here, with the fact that several national and international passengers were on board as well. And what an unfortunate, episode coming to the fore, not just for those people who are actually on the flight, right, but also for the building on which this aircraft fell, where, the doctors were having their lunch break as well. And a complete, very, very tragic afternoon to speak the least as well. But all hands on the deck approached by the Prime Minister, and therefore multiple ministers are being rushed to the accident site.
Well, PIB of India has put out a fact check saying that an old video is being shared on social media linking it to the Ahmedabad plane crash. It shows a view from inside the plane. The video is of a plane crash that happened in Nepal in January 2023. And the PIB says rely only on information from official sources or in mainstream media. For authentic information related to the Ahmedabad crash, contact the helpline number provided by the central government. And that number, of course, is on your screens even as we speak, viewers. So don't, again, get sucked into conspiracy theories. There are many people who are going to talk about a lot of things that might not quite fit the facts once we know them. But as of now, we can tell you that Boeing has issued a statement. It said we're in contact with Air India regarding Flight 171 and stand ready to support them. Our thoughts are with the passengers, crew, first responders and all affected. So this is a statement that has been put out by Boeing. There is, of course, past history where Boeing has been under scrutiny, but has that resulted in this particular incident? One can't say. It's too premature. But what we can tell you, viewers, is that the number of casualties are being estimated to be very high. There is a possibility of very few survivors. That's also what we are being told. Unofficially, of course, we don't have any confirmation of the status of the passengers. But what we can tell you is that there were 12 crew, including 2 very experienced pilots. Indians, passengers were 169, British 53, and passengers from other nationalities 7. You can see on your screens a Portuguese and 1 Canadian. So that made up the entire 242 passenger list, including, of course, the crew. And what we are being told, viewers, is that not many might survive this devastating tragedy. I want to go across to Anvit. Anvit, what's the latest on the casualty figures? What are you picking up? And also, of course, from the ground, we know that there were about 50 to 60 MBBS students that are admitted in hospital. It is being said that they are stable. This is the Federation of All India Medical Association that is putting out these details as per discussions with the president of the RDA BG Medical College Ahmedabad and Vice President FAIMA Dr. Dhaval Gameti. These numbers are being put out. 4 to 5 MBBS students are missing. Hope they're okay. 2-3 are in HDU and ICU, so their situation is quite precarious. 3-4 relatives of the super specialist resident doctors are missing right now, and wife of 1 found dead, and most of the passengers of the flight are brought dead. We appeal to everyone to remain calm. So this is the first intimation that we have got from any official source about the possibility of casualty figures. Anvit.
Yeah, Rahul, see, the situation on ground is such that some people certainly are missing because the crash, the plane went into a residential area and the buildings have been damaged. The people from ground, many of them are being reported missing. Some are yet to be traced. It is not confirmed whether they are dead or they have been taken to some hospital and they remain unidentified. So these are the problems and the challenges that the first responders and the paramedics and medical experts are facing on ground right now. That is one challenge. Another is that the plane had tons of fuel as it has just taken off and it was bound to go to Gatwick. So it had a huge amount of fuel. Usually it is with the planes that their fuel is contained into the wings, and that is one reason why when planes crash that it immediately goes up in flames. This is one reason, and this is exactly what we saw that happened with this flight as well. The moment it touched down, the moment it touched the residential area where it crashed, the plane went up in flames. And that is one reason why mostly in air crashes, the number of survivors is the least. And even in this incident, hardly there would be any survivors is what we are learning from the sources on ground, which is highly unfortunate. But this is the reality that there might, the chances of survival of anyone on board that aircraft might be very less. Also, there are casualties, collateral damage from the ground because it was a residential area. We saw how the plane's flight path declined instead of rising, and it had been taking off. And it was just minutes after taking off that the flight went down and crashed. So the visuals are clearly suggestive of the fact that they would the casualty figures that have already crossed 150 is what we're learning from the ground. That is expected to only rise. It is unfortunate, but yes, some people have also been rushed to medical facilities and they have been marked safe. This includes a number of hostelers and the doctors who were living in the hostel in the building in which the plane has crashed. So they have been marked safe with some injuries, and they've been said they're out of danger, which is a good news in this. But on-ground situation remains challenging as rescue operations are still continuing.
Well, that's not a very encouraging outlook that has been painted there by Anvit. What we can tell you, viewers, is that the FAIMA, the Federation of All India Medical Association, has put out the latest details, and Shivani, it doesn't make for very encouraging reading. 50 to 60 MBBS students are admitted, and thankfully some are stable, most are stable. 4 to 5 MBBS students are missing, and 2-3 in HDU and ICU. But the prognosis on the passengers of the flight is not very good. Shivani.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. In what is now the second biggest air tragedy in India, an Air India flight with 232 passengers and 10 crew members crashed shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad airport. Now, the plane was carrying 169 Indians, 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian passenger, and was bound for London. Already, 130 plus casualties have been confirmed. 130 plus passengers have been declared dead, even as rescue and relief operations are on. The tragedy and crash has been so severe that the worst is now feared as far as the casualties are concerned. The aircraft involved was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner 12 and is believed that the pilots lost both engines and plunged very quickly after takeoff. Before Ahmedabad, Boeing 787, known as the Dreamliner, entered service in October 2011 and had never been involved in a fatal incident. But there have been many concerns over safety and audit-related issues with Boeing, the company itself. Home Minister Amit Shah, Civil Aviation Minister Rammohan Naidu have travelled to Ahmedabad along with other ministry and DGCA officials. News also is that former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani was on the flight travelling to London, where his family is currently, and we are awaiting confirmation on his condition. Let's take a look at